Welcome to Unfiltered Business Podcast, the show that funnels in all the good and all the bad of what it takes to run a business.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Unfiltered Business Podcast. We're so excited to have you here with us. Today we're going to talk about content, and it's kind of my favorite thing because that's all I do all day is I make content. I'm going to start off with saying a little quote. Back in 1996, Bill Gates was the first one to say, "Content is king." He wrote an essay around that time on Microsoft saying that it will be the number one thing that is going to make businesses money in the future, that content is king.
Mm-hmm. Cash is king too.
There's a reason why they don't say knowledge is king or experience is king and that content is king. It's because that's what you're selling is how are they going to know your knowledge without seeing it through content first?
Yeah, no, you're right. That's kind of everything that we do in today's world, especially because everybody's so inundated with content. I mean, I forget the number. I read it one time before. It was like thousands of times a day that somebody sees an ad, somebody sees something from somebody else or a business. So you're inundated with a tremendous amount of content on a daily basis all day long. But for what we do and how we operate, and as everybody as a whole, honestly, is no matter what you're doing, it's that relevant content. What kind of content are you putting out? Is it the right content? How much is it catching the attention of the individual that's watching? Is it, pulling on the heartstrings or what have you? So there's a lot of important reasons behind content, how you produce content, what you put out as in content, that whether it grows or whether it doesn't grow.
And I mean, it's great for SEO. It encourages engagement. It generates new leads, sales, and it adds value in the first place to your product or service, because at the end of the day, people need to see the value before they invest in the value.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And SEO is a huge part of content, of course, whether it's video, whether it's text or what have you. But again, there's a lot of other things that we can go into a later date with SEO of how content or SEO works with the content, understanding search engines don't have a clue what the content is unless you tell it what it is with tags and everything else on the back end. But let's just take video, for example. That's the fastest way to get a message across. In today's world, that honestly is the fastest way. Everybody's got an attention span that's, short as a mouse. But as in video, what type of content should a person be putting out? Depending on that particular business or what your objectives are for that content. So what are some good video examples or types of content video-wise that somebody should be putting out?
A big thing is, testimonies. Anytime we're with a client, we always push, hey, let's record a few testimonies here. If you have a client or patient here, let's record one really quick. How-tos. People love how-tos because every day people are Googling, how do I do this? How do I do this? And you can do a quick how-to if you're a physical therapist, how to stretch out this ache in your back, or if you're a content blogger, how to write a engaging post, or things like that. How-tos, testimonies, or just even basic behind-the-scenes things are great for companies to use.
How-tos are extremely important. Just take YouTube, for example. That's kind of how YouTube was developed, and the purpose for it was educational, and it still is today. Even though podcasts are tremendously powerful, and it's one of the top-rated things to put out on the networks, but at the end of the day, even podcasts, it's about education. It's about somebody wanting to know something of how to do something else.
Right.
So educational pieces is very, very powerful when it comes to content, and YouTube especially. It helps you grow a lot.
And before people start making content too, you got to ask yourselves a few hows and a few whys of, okay, how am I going to do this? How am I going to create this? What software am I going to use? What do I need to buy? What do I need to invest in? A huge thing, obviously, if you're going to be using Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, we have it good where photographer, videographer, we have everything we need in-house. But a lot of people need to look at, okay, do I need to hire a photographer once a month to come in to take photos of my business? Or do I need to hire a marketing company that offers videography? Do I need to invest in a tripod? Like, these are things you also need to ask yourselves as a business or entrepreneur, some things, what am I going to need to be able to create this content? Do I need to create a Canva subscription? Do I need to learn Photoshop? And then how are you going to execute that? In the show notes, we're going to include a great thing that we created a few weeks ago. It's social media growth. We'll include that in there, and then we can also include a quick video on how to actually fill that out. And so those will be in the show notes on just how are you going to use this content going forward. But those are some great things to ask yourself, and then actually executing that and executing that content after you create a schedule for yourself, and you probably learn a few things on how to create those content.
Yeah. And, most people nowadays, especially with how things are received on social media platforms or whatever, most people going into it think, well, I got to have the biggest and the best equipment there is.
Right, exactly.
Cell phones today there's things that I've seen produced with a cell phone that myself, and I've been doing this for years, thought, holy crap, that was probably produced with a Red camera or Arri or something like that. No, it's honestly just by the person who's using the camera of what kind of quality it's going to put out.
Exactly.
But don't ever go into it thinking, I got to have the best camera, the best equipment to put out the best content. People want to see behind the scenes. They want to see you as a real person. So doing it with a cell phone is all you need.
Just don't film it with a Nokia.
Yeah, don't do it with a flip phone.
It's great things. Just quick tip, if you're going to create reels or anything like that, put your phone. iPhones all have, I think most iPhones now have the 4K option. Put it in 4K and start filming, and make sure you kind of have it stabilized a little. And that's one thing I think I had to teach you too, that your phones can do that. Yeah. Put it in 4K, film it, and there's plenty of options out there with editing tools, even free editing tools on apps and everything like that you can use to edit your videos pretty easily. Yeah,
you got CapCut, you've got iMovie, of course, you can do it with. I've tried it, and I don't have the patience for it. But there's a lot of different apps out there that you can use. But one thing I will say about a phone is any kind of video production, 80% of a good quality video is audio. So make sure you got at least a good lapel mic. You can get a Rode or whatever that attaches straight to your phone and clips onto you. That's the last thing you want, is somebody to be listening and they say, holy smokes, I can't listen to it because the audio is just horrible.
Right.
Great content, great quality, looks great, but the audio is horrible. I'm going to just go somewhere else.
Exactly.
And watch what I want. So audio is key. It really is. So just make sure you got a good lapel. And just be yourself, be normal, be natural. It's the key when it comes to video.
Right. And then a great thing about content too, it's not just video and photos and designs and things. Your blogs, your website content, your newsletters, those are content as well that you can get out in front of your future clients or followers or anything like that.
Yeah. It was a couple of years ago, I wrote an article, I called it the 5 Why. And I got this, thought process from, Six Sigma certifications. Always part of the process when you go through that course is the 5 Why. Is for, why do I need it?
Right.
Why is the person wanting to receive it? Just ask yourself those 5 whys. And of course it can go endless. But once you get that first 5 questions answered, you'll get a pretty good grasp of what is my overall objective for what I want to do. How does somebody need to receive it? And what do I need to do to produce it the right way? Whether it's video, whether it's photos, or whether it's text copy content, whatever. That's just a helpful tip to kind of structure it in a way to where you can go down the right path.
Right. And then a big thing too is, so this content you're creating, these videos, these photos, where are they going to go next? Are they going to go on Facebook? Are they going to go on Instagram, TikTok? You can even create content as a company on Snapchat. A lot of companies these days are using Snapchat too, or creating an ad for Snapchat or anything like that. Where are you going to put this, and how is that going to drive traffic back to wherever you need your customers or clients or patients seeing it? And that's a big thing to look at too, to creating a social media marketing strategy and how to use that to increase your traffic.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. All the platforms, they compete. They compete against each other, but they also work in kind of tandem with each other. Let's just take, for instance, LinkedIn and YouTube. LinkedIn likes YouTube. YouTube likes LinkedIn. Facebook doesn't like YouTube so much. So, and you'll see that as you post things and just link those platforms back and forth to each other. If you were to post a YouTube channel to a Facebook page, it drops off. You post that to LinkedIn. Okay, well, now there's a connection going on there. And same with your website and all. The only thing I don't necessarily like about putting YouTube videos attached to a website, everybody runs ads.
Right.
So if you're a particular business that's wanting to reach a certain market, certain target audience, well, when that video plays, it's going to get hit with ads from other businesses on your page or linked from your page. So that's why I like to bake the video content directly into the backside of the website. There's no links or no ads at all run back and forth. So,
and a great thing too with content is it's not, well, I don't think this is a great thing. It's not always going to go viral. Your content is not always going to be seen first. The algorithm is constantly changing. Even this month, it's changed. It recently was shares and saves. Now it's just the type of post you create, whether it's a carousel or reel. So it's constantly changing too. So you need to keep track of, okay, what is the content that people need to see? And also, where are you putting this content that it's going to get in front of the client or patient that you want it to see? Make sure you're keeping track of your demographics, your analytics, and watching the content that is working and the content that isn't working.
Yeah, no, Reels is an important piece of the puzzle. And, you know, YouTube, for instance, is starving for Reels. It's always been a 1920 by 1080 format, which is your standard landscape style video format. And that's what it's always been. But as a different format, and this is just kind of nerding out, getting technical, is Reel formats is 1080 by 1920. It's just, you know, different styles. But YouTube is starving for Reels as in content. So that's just another piece. As you're shooting your normal videos, and we do this, you know, we'll edit or shoot the normal formats and then in post edit to a Reel size. But just kind of keep that in mind is every piece of content that you put out, determine, okay, well, do I want 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 segments of Reels out of that one piece of content? Because you can always redistribute and put out what you want to put out on certain platforms, but Reels is an important piece. Really, we seen that a while back. You know, one of our clients, just one Reel got how much traction? It was like 4 million views in a month. It was crazy. But again, it's all about, as well as some other things that goes into it, is soundtracks. You know, what's hitting at the moment. I mean,
what's trending? Yeah,
when we first started our TikTok channel, 3 years ago, had 35 followers. And we were just shooting a piece of content for a local client, and all it was just a tight lens that goes on the camera. And nothing fancy about it, and I couldn't believe so many people watched it. But because of the soundtrack that was attached to it on TikTok, it got 2.1 million views.
Right.
And our followings went up to over 11,000 in less than 30 days. I couldn't believe it. It was crazy.
Exactly. No, it's insane. But also make sure the sounds you use or anything you use is also relevant to your video. Don't just throw a random trending sound on you, I don't know, walking up the steps or something. Just make sure the content you're using is, you know, good, and it's not just random videos just to post. Like, make sure you're not creating content just to post. Make sure there's purpose behind it. There needs to be purpose behind obviously everything you do in a business. So make sure that you don't slack off on your content and that there's purpose behind your content.
Yeah, and I think an important piece to determine that, of course, you won't be able to determine this up front because you got to get things out there and you got to let the system, the internet world tell you what they like and what they don't like. But utilizing the analytics, the dashboards, and really starting to understand that, of course, you know, you can get technical and nerd out on these things. And, of course, the bigger you get, there's people that's all they do, and they just study analytics. So use that to your advantage on understanding, okay, well, this particular video got them this much watch time, whether it's 3 seconds or 3 minutes. Well, why is that? What changed within my formula to where this audience liked it better than this audience? And then you can start to kind of snowball effect things and change things up and really start to gain a lot of traction.
Right. And then another thing too is making sure you have content on your page. So making sure that you are posting based on what your goals are and your strategy is, and that way, even if you don't have a lot of followers now, there's content when people do eventually start following you. And also making sure you're creating content, not just in office or anything like that. Go sponsor a lunch or go sponsor a speech or a talk or anything. And then you can generate content from that event saying you were sponsored there, or also showing content there, because a lot of times if you sponsor something, they let you speak or show something. And so you can show content there, which will, in the end, drive people back to your social media where they're seeing even more content, and that you're still at the top of mind for them.
Yeah, that's right. You know, there's a guy around town. Every event we go to, he's got his cell phone out. He's going to do a Facebook Live or something. But it's honestly helped him out. It really has. He's gotten a lot of good traction from it, made a name for himself, and everybody knows when anybody goes to an event and he's there, it's about to go live or it's about to go something on cell phone, which is good, and I like that. But, it's use your cell phone to your advantage.
Literally. It is a huge, huge part of honestly, anything we do, where we're at something, we have our phone. We always have a camera, obviously, but a lot of times we have our phone. I mean, creating content from our phones is super easy because you can quickly post something. You can quickly edit it on your phone. And you can also, if you don't know how to do something you can Google it while you're anywhere you are, to Google how to do something, and other people's content will show up.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, one thing that, which, if you're just starting out in business or just wanting to create content, you probably don't know this, but I'm sure the question is asked all the time. Well, how do I know what people search for? How do I know what people are really wanting to know? Well, there's platforms out there that can tell you what to do or what that is, like Uber Suggest, and Neil Patel actually just created another one. I forget the name of it. But you just put in a keyword search. What do people want to know about physical therapy? Or what's the most asked questions about physical therapy? Or what's the most asked questions about marketing or whatever? Those platforms will spit out those top-rated search topics, and then just start generating ideas around those. That's a powerful tool to use, and use those keywords to your advantage. But speaking of keywords is, when you upload that content, whether it's to a website or whether it's social pages or whatever it may be, what's the advantage and what's the importance of using particular keywords within text copy?
Right. I mean, using your keywords, that goes back to SEO for a huge part. When you're Googling things and you're using those keywords in your blogs or your text copy, it's gonna pop up on Google. It's gonna pop up on YouTube. Having those keywords are super important, so you're popping up. But again, a lot of things do go back to SEO because content is a great for SEO purposes, especially original content. I mean, it doesn't always have to be 1,000-word blogs or anything, but content that includes those keywords that people are searching for, that you're using these tools to find the keywords. And even if you're not using these tools, you can just search on any social media platform or Google or anything like that, physical therapy, and you'll see what other people are using, and you can start using that in your content as well.
No, yeah, that's exactly right. And one important piece that, I try to hit on all the time is majority of businesses, of course, you want immediate growth.
Right.
You want the right growth. You want immediate traction. But you have to change your mindset going into it. Okay, this is a long-term thing.
Exactly.
And it's organic. Immediate actions will get you so far, and it really will. But you have to go into it, okay, this is from day one till the day I either decide to exit my business or whatever, it's organic growth. So how do I go into it, put in the strategies in place, doing the right things, and developing the right objectives as an organic growth model versus an immediate response model.
Right.
And keywords and whatever it is, you social media wise or website wise, SEO, that's how you have to approach it, is long term, forever. What's my organic strategies?
Exactly. Yeah. We always tell people, give it 6 months, especially if you're not already like at the top of everything. Give it 6 months. let Google grow, let social media grow, let everything start growing before you really start seeing, tremendous results. Unless for some reason you accidentally beat the algorithm and things. I mean, I don't think influencers expect to go be influencers overnight, even though sometimes they do, because sometimes we all beat the algorithm on accident and things happen. But yeah, give it time, because it does take time. It doesn't just happen overnight. The internet is a weird, strange place, and it takes a lot of work to get it to like you.
Yeah, you have to look at it like this. Out of all the websites on the web, which is, I read a number a while back. It was, oh my gosh, it's unbelievable. It's like 19 billion or something like that. Of course, when you do a search, or when you have your website on the search on the online, you're not necessarily competing with all 19 billion. There's a lot of other factors. I mean, the beast is the beast. I mean, Google and search engines, their algorithm platforms and how they track things it confuses the crap out of most people. But you kind of have to look at it as, okay, well, I can only do so much, but what I need to do and have to do has to be, for one, just put things out there first,
right,
and then adjust as you need to grow. And I don't know, it's confusing to explain when you start nerding out on things. but the internet world is very, very large. It's a tremendous amount of content. It's the system itself is filtering through. So I'm going to just throw this out there. So just when you put in a search to Google, it goes out to the web world and says, okay, well, what content is related to this topic that this person searched for?
Right.
And so it starts scrubbing sites. If it don't ever get past the top of that site and to scrub through, it just goes on to the next one. So you always have to tell your sites what the search needs to look for. But then that just goes back to SEO. That's another topic for another day, because we can really dive deep into that.
No, yeah, it's confusing, but you also got to remember you're not alone. No, it can be confusing, and it's confusing for a lot of people, but you're not alone. That's the great thing about, people like us. We want to help people. We don't just want to. We're not out here just to make money and things. Like, we want to help you. Like, we want to help people, because it honestly brings us joy to see other people and other businesses succeed. And also, it's kind of nice to see like some of the things we're doing work. And so that's a little pat on the back sometimes, which it's great to know that, marketing is great and marketing works.
It does work. It absolutely does work. Of course, it's, you have to give it time. A lot of it is trial and error. A lot of it is testing, A/B testing. This works, this doesn't work. Okay, well, what do I need to change here in this formula to make this? It's like baking a cake. You leave one ingredient out, it's probably not going to turn out so well. So it's the same with the marketing, is you've got to have a complete plan up front that you say, okay, well, this is a good likelihood it will work, but what elements within my plan may fall apart and may not fall apart. Let it run its course and then adjust as you grow. Whether it's 7 days, I was kind of like, especially Google PPC campaigns, is let it run for a minimum of 7 days and then go in and look at the analytics, look at the data, and let it tell you what it's telling you, but understand what it's telling you, and then adjust course. And you kind of have to take that same mindset with everything, whether it's SEO, whether it's social media or whatever, adjust as you need to.
Right, exactly.
But you got to give it time. You have to give it time. Most companies today I wouldn't say most, but we deal with B2B style, B2B for the most. I say B2B. We don't work with clients that sell Nike,
right,
or products per se. That's a different beast.
Right.
You can get a lot faster traction by doing that. But what we do and who we work with and stuff, it's you got to put in the time. You got to put in the legwork. You got to understand the overall marketing model and what do I need to put out there that's going to attract that individual and have them understand and feel that my services, as in our client services or whoever we're working with, can really, really help that individual and benefit from what they're putting out.
And that goes back to adding value to your product and service and making sure they receive it well before they even walk in your door, and that it's going to solve their problems or teach them how to solve their problems. So that's great. Well, Corey, I've enjoyed this nerdy little talk today. I always do enjoy our smart people marketing talks.
Yeah, we can nerd out real quick on things. We just, especially myself, I get a little too technical on things because I don't know, it excites me.
We also all did just have coffee before this, so that kind of helped.
Well, I had some while we were talking. So.
But yeah, today was great. We're going to include a few freebies in the show notes, so make sure you check those out. And as always, follow us anywhere you're listening. Share with your friends, family, businesses, networkers, anything like that. And we can't wait to see you next week.
Yep, absolutely. See you next week.